This program is brought to you by Newsworks in cooperation with Eau Claire County. This program is simulcast on WRFP-LP 101.9 FM.
I call to order this regular meeting of the Eau Claire County Board of Supervisors on this Tuesday, March the 19th. Supervisors, please rise for a pledge of allegiance and a moment of reflection by Supervisor Beckfield and Supervisor Gatman. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, as we all are here tonight, I want to let you know this is my first reflection in a little over 5 years, so go easy on me, okay? As I got up this morning, went for my little walk around Bullis Pond, which is the pond near the Ayers and Associates building. I started to think, we were talking about budgets last fall, and we talked a lot about snow this winter, right? And, excuse me. I saw a bald eagle this morning, different birds, and actually a robin on my way. I don't know if any of you seen one yet. It's they're here. So that's my first sign of spring. But one of the things that I do as I'm the chair of HR, and my vice chair, Judy Gatlin, and I were having a very nice conversation over the last couple of weeks about, well, we're getting out of winter. And let's take a second and talk about something a little bit different. So at this time, I'd like to flip it over to my vice chair of HR and also on the Highway Committee, Supervisor Gatlin.
Thank you. This is to take the opportunity to respectfully and sincerely thank all the employees of the Eau Claire Highway Department for going further than over and beyond and safely and skillfully taking care of the roads in the recent unprecedented winter. The Eau Claire County Highway Department is responsible for clearing their assigned regions of the state trunk highway system, as well as 421 miles of county trunk highway system. On March 1, weather.com, reporting on snow records, wrote, Eau Claire, Wisconsin had the impressive monthly record crushing. The city picked up 53.7 inches of snow in February alone, doubling their previous February record set during the Dust Bowl in 1936, but crushing their previous record, snowiest single month, 35.3 inches in January 1929. With the exception of the, quote, she said she just didn't see the plow, unquote, incident, the local media outlets recognized the safe and professional work of the highway employees during the month of February 2019. The DOT recently rated Eau Claire County Highway Department as among the best in the state in the 2017-2018 with a 0 winter performance rating on a scale of -2 to 2. -2 is too slow, and 2 is action too late. And tomorrow is the spring equinox at 5 o'clock. So thank you.
We could have a little round of applause for our employees.
It's too bad that Commissioner Johnson isn't here. Yeah. Tonight's meeting will be broadcast on Valley Media Works, Charter Channel 994, on Thursday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. following the meeting, on WFRP-LP 101.9 FM and online at valleymediaworks.org. Next item is our call the roll. Supervisors, please take your keypads and indicate your presence. Is it working? Now it is.
There we go.
Not for me, though. There it is. Okay. Supervisor Coffey.
I don't have one on my desk.
Supervisor Bates stole it, I think.
I think she's only got one.
You can take Jill since he's
Can we record it? We will record it. You can do that. So, how many do we have? We have 26 supervisors present. That is a quorum. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is approval of the Journal of Proceedings. Is there a motion? Motion by Supervisor Leary to approve the Journal of Proceedings, second by Supervisor Beckfield. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections? Seeing none, we will do this by voice vote. All those in favor of approval of the Journal of Proceedings of March 5th, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay? It is unanimous. Thank you. The next item is public comment, but I don't think we have anyone here for public comment. Is there any member of the public who wishes to make comment? Anyone who wishes to make comment? Any member, for the third time, any member of the public who wishes to make comment? I see none. We will move on to the next item. Reports to the county board under 2.04.320. Oral reports. First up is moratorium update by Rod Esslinger. And this will be relevant to file 113, which we have tonight, regarding extension of the moratorium. And I might note that Mr. Esslinger will be ably assisted by Mr. Leonard.
Mr. Leonard. Good evening, and thank you for having us tonight. My name is Rod Esslinger. I'm the Director of Planning and Development. So we're going to give you an update on the moratorium that was just read into the record here. Back on October 2nd, this body took action on the resolution around the ordinance to impose a 6-month moratorium on the expansion and creation of new large-scale livestock facilities. What we're going to, this is two-part. We're going to give you an update of where we've been, what we've been up to, specifically with the committee, the actionable items yet to come, and then all of you should have at your disposal, at your desk, a hard copy of a timesheet. Yep. So it all looks like this. Everybody should have a copy of it. So that kind of just will show you the next steps in the process. We still have one meeting left to go with our oversight committee, and then we'll get into, Greg and his staff will get into the real work and putting together the ordinance language and what that's going to look like. We have some meetings outlined. I'm not going to steal a lot of his thunder. And then Greg's going to give you a little bit more in-depth timeline on that. And then I'll come back and we'll talk if it's okay to talk about the extension at this time, or would you like to wait?
There may be some questions that the supervisors have regarding that, but I think we would prefer to put that to the discussion of the file.
Fair enough. To that, I'll turn it over to Greg. Greg has been the lead staff with the moratorium, and Amanda Peters, she is not with us this evening, but they've been leading the discussion with the committee and they've both been doing a great job. So turn it over to Greg.
Thank you, Rod, and thank you, everyone, for allowing me an opportunity to come here tonight. So quickly, you all have a copy of this at your disposal right now. We want to put an outline together of what the process has been so far and where we are going. So I'll kind of come back to that in just a little bit. Some of the background, what we have been doing so far is we've been reviewing within our group the background information. We started out with farm tours. We've had presentations, and mainly they're educational presentations on what we have currently for local zoning, erosion control, stormwater, and shoreline protection ordinances that exist within the county, the ag performance standards and prohibitions, which are contained in NR 151 from Department of Agriculture, our existing animal waste storage ordinance, livestock siting, and things in relation to CAFO. So we have had local staff, DNR staff, Department of Agriculture staff come in and do presentations. I forgot to include in this our local county health department also provide an update and presentation on our groundwater report. So we had incorporated all of those into our educational aspect for our group. Those recordings are all online, the presentations. We have already developed recommendations to include NR 151A performance standards into our county code. So we have gone through that process already. Our last meeting, we went through our animal waste storage ordinance. Our animal waste storage ordinance was originally developed in 1990. Minor recommendations were done over the years, but this is a major overhaul. We have completed the recommendations for those revisions. We're going to strengthen the requirements for closure of unused facilities. We want to incorporate manure transfer systems, which is a portion of manure storage which is not well defined in our ordinance, but we are clarifying that so that we will include it within our ordinance. We want to make sure that there's proof of land availability for the manure spreading and a certificate of use for the operator of those facilities. So we have gone through those things and have hammered those things out already. Our considerations that we still need to look at is actually livestock siting. This kind of brings everything together as far as where do we apply this across the county? Is it uniform across the county? Does it apply only to large-scale livestock facilities? Or is there some place in between? So these are our considerations that we are going to be working on next week. So those recommendations are coming forth on our March 26th meeting. We've actually started drafting ordinance already based on the recommendations that have been developed. And going back to our calendar, as you see, our next meeting, we should be wrapping things up. We're going to try to bring the group back together to review the final draft of the ordinance, but it may be challenging as the agricultural producers are going to be hitting the field soon. Yes, we've seen robins. Actually, the frost is out at my place. Things are changing quickly here, even though we're coming out of the depths of a terrible winter. Spring is coming. It's going to be challenging for us to bring the egg producers back in for too many more meetings. But otherwise, we have set out a schedule that we will be reviewing things within our LCC, going to the Planning Development Committee meeting. I have a meeting with the Towns Association to present our recommendations to them. We have a public hearing we're scheduling in May. And we're looking at and following procedure, county board, first reading in May, and the final, hopefully, adoption in June. So that's our schedule that we're on. We're working. The group is actually working really well, and things are coming together. We were delayed one meeting by was it 30 below or was it 13 inches of snow? I do not remember, but we did have to cancel one meeting.
And as far as the committee and on the first 2 points that Greg talked about a little bit.
Rod.
I'm sorry. Yep. The first 2 points that the committee had agreed to or concurrence were NR 151 standards to incorporate those, and then the animal waste. So we have 15 members on the committee, and to get concurrence, that was one of the things that the committee was chaired by Supervisor Gibson. That was kind of a ground rule. So to think about what the committee has been working on, they've been working to understand the issues at hand, to get educated, like Greg has indicated, and then they've come together to, once they've got educated or brought up to speed on it, and they come together as a group, and they've and concurred on those 2 items, and those are the things that Greg is going to be incorporating into ordinance. That's what he mentioned. So it's been a very transparent process. We've tried to be more inclusive. I believe at one meeting, I think I counted 6 or 7 county board members in attendance. So that tells me that this topic is very important to each and every one of you. So your engagement, your involvement it shows me that number one, you care, you want to be informed on it. So when it does come time for this body to vote, you've gotten yourself in a position to make a very informed decision. And if you're feeling at any point, through this process, if you have questions, reach out to staff. Come to our office. Greg, Amanda, myself, we're here to answer. Don't feel that if there's no bad question, okay? That's what I would like to leave it at. Supervisor Gibson is also available to answer questions. So to that, I think we've brought the body, the county board, up to speed of what we've been doing. The timeline is in front of you. And are there any questions at this?
Would you remain, please? Comments and questions. Supervisor Beckfield.
Thank you, and I appreciate all the work you're doing. I know this has been a long journey for you. I remember our meeting earlier, and I think the additional meetings that you're having in public comment are important. I'm glad to hear that supervisors are going. Unfortunately, they don't work into my schedule, and I will do so to study as hard as I can before we bring this to the floor. But I did have, are you identifying anything right now that is something that you feel is discerning or a problem that we need to address? Do you see any of that? Because I'm not hearing any controversy from the people I've spoken to about the process so far.
No,
So, no?
nothing significant. There was discussion about a reference in DNR code, NR 243, which references storm events which are used for design. That reference in state administrative code is actually old because it was placed there at a time in the past. The current standards which are used for designing of manure storage, we have to follow the current existing NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service standards. Those standards use different rainfall factors which are actually higher than the old reference standards. So that was something that was discussed. That was a reference in the code which was old. The members of our group did not understand the full process we go through for design.
Because I'll be the first one to explain to you, I don't know much about agriculture. I know a lot about automotive and things like that, but when it comes to this, and so I'm trying to bone myself up, and I know at times it's confusing for me because there's a lot of acronyms you use that kind of throw me for a loop, and I will be making some phone calls over the next few weeks. And again, thank you for taking the extraordinary efforts to have these meetings and keep them open. And they're open to all supervisors, right?
Correct.
So, okay.
And as I mentioned, the recordings of all the presentations are available on the website.
Thank you very much.
Supervisor Bates.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm wondering, since we've had this unusual amount of snow and moisture in our fields, it's laying there now, is this a time that we also should be really aware of checking our water, our well water in rural areas, especially in areas where there are significant animal operations?
Well, matter of fact, I just talked to the Lisa Gieseke this morning, and it's not only when we have these events or snow melt or when we have a rainfall event. Best practices would suggest that you would have your well tested annually. I mean, really to stay on top of the matter. But with the recent the runoff that we've had, it's advised that you do get, if you're on a well, if you have a well serving your property, is to get your water sampled, and you can do it right here at the health department. So certainly, yes.
If I may add.
Yep.
An additional thing is if there is flooding that potentially flood water came up around a private well, that is definitely a time for further testing.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. I see no other questions or comments. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Okay.
Next oral report is from our county administrator and an update.
Thank you. I have just a couple of things. You were emailed just a few moments ago a flyer for events that the county will be hosting. Supervisor Mowry, along with other staff in the county, are participating in a National Association of Counties Substance Abuse Interventions for Justice-Involved Individuals. And they'll be watching the webinar, and it will be open to the public. And then Supervisor Mowry, as well as our other staff, have offered to host a forum where there can be some discussion with community members and community learning around these topics. So thank you to all of those who are participating in that. The meet and greet this evening, thank you to you supervisors for attending that. We will continue to have other departments actually present at that. And we also have identified that one of the events that we would like to have as part of that is some active shooter training. We have gone through the work of training all of our employees on new protocols for just such an emergency, and we are developing the systems to be able to respond appropriately as needed. As you spend time in this building as well, we believe that it is prudent to involve you in that training. So you will have that coming up. Look forward to it as part of one of your pre-meeting introductions. Along with that, our emergency management partners have not only responded during the snow events that we have had, but they have also gotten together and done some pre-planning for the possibility of flooding. And so identifying resources, getting the resources here in our community, we have been very fortunate as a community thus far. And according to the National Weather Service, that good fortune will continue for some time, it appears. We will keep you updated as situations change. And then also the health rankings came out today. I saw that there was some information that came out in a number of different formats regarding Eau Claire County. That information is going to be used by a multitude of our departments, but primarily by the joint public health, city-county public health, to identify strategies that we will continue to implement in our county to address community needs. So look for more reports on that in coming months. And that is all I have this evening, unless you have specific questions.
I see no questions. Thank you. Our seventh item is presentation of petitions, claims, and communications. You have there 4 rezoning. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped over an item. I'm very thankful for the presence of the county clerk, who keeps me on task. You have 2 written reports, a contingency fund report and the February 2019 payments over $10,000. The contingency fund report you can read for yourself. If there are any questions, you could ask them now or direct them to the appropriate person. The same for the February 2019 payments over $10,000, and we will address that item in file number 114. The 7th item is 4 rezoning requests, which will go to the appropriate committees and come back onto the board floor in subsequent meetings. Item number 8, first reading of ordinances by committees, file number 97.
To amend section 9.96.010B and 38C of the code, purpose, to amend section 9.96020 of the code, definitions, and to amend section 9.96080A1 of the code, license issuance, and to amend section 9.96.90D and G of the code, requirements, and to amend section 9.96140B of the code, fees.
This item is in first reading. It will come before us again in a subsequent meeting. File number 115.
Amending section 4.30.070 of the code, dog license tax.
This item is also before us for first reading and will come back to a subsequent meeting. File 114.
To amend section 4.06.060A of the code, issuance of orders by the clerk and treasurer for payment of county obligations.
The chair recognizes Supervisor Pagonis.
Mr. Chair, I request respectfully to take this up under suspension of the rules.
We have a motion to suspend the rules. It does require a second. Is there a second? A second by Supervisor Dunning. This item is not debatable and cannot be amended. It does require a 2/3 vote. So supervisors, please take your keypads in hand and vote accordingly. No, it's not debatable.
Could you please restate the motion?
Yeah, could you, which one are we?
Sorry.
Oh, this is,
Sorry, we're having a quick discussion here. So we'll repeat the motion.
but it's to vote on the suspension.
Yeah, the motion is to suspend the rules. Is that what you're asking about?
Yes, what are they voting on?
Oh, you're voting on suspending the rules. Do you agree to suspend the rules which allow us to take up this item in this evening's meeting?
114.
114. Sorry. Is that clear? Are there any other questions? So you're voting on suspending the rules. Please take your keypads in hand and vote. Oh, okay, thank you. It is 26-0, therefore it is unanimous, thank you. We now have this item before us. I would like to take it by Supervisor Pagonis.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, I'd like to offer an amendment. I would like to add on...
Excuse me, I'm not sure about this, Supervisor Pagonis, but I think you made the motion to suspend the rules. I believe I have to have a motion and a second on this. Is that correct?
On which?
To bring it before us.
You suspended the rules, so you don't need...
We've suspended the rules. I'm now asking for an amendment.
Okay, sorry. Excuse me, Supervisor Pagonis, go ahead.
Okay, now I'm making a motion to amend the ordinance that's presented. I would like to add a section 2 on line 26. Then section 2 would merely state, this ordinance shall be effective upon adoption, which means if it gets voted on tonight, it will be effective tonight. So that's my amendment, my motion for an amendment.
We have a motion to amend. Is there a second to the motion to amend? Supervisor Anderson, we have the amendment and a second. Excuse me. This is debatable. Is there any discussion or are there any questions about the amendment? I see none. Supervisors, please take your keypads in hand. You are voting on the amendment. It is 26-0, therefore it is unanimous. Thank you very much. We are back to, I believe, the main motion now.
Yes.
Sorry? As amended, excuse me.
As amended.
As amended. Is there any discussion or any questions about the main motion?
Well, I'd like to just address it.
Excuse me, Supervisor Pagonis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is something that's been discussed in this body quite a few times. What we get generally on a monthly basis is a request to approve, I'm using the air quotes, approve vouchers of over $10,000. In fact, at the point that we approve them, they've already been paid. So there was a great deal of debate as to approving in retrospect and what these vouchers really are comprised of. And the conclusion we came to is that most of the vouchers are based on some contractual situation that the county has already entered into as part of the budget process. So we've already approved it when we've approved the budget. Very infrequently, there might be something else that might show up. So we felt that the better choice, and also if we did get a voucher over $10,000, by the time we would meet to approve it, it would be late. So we didn't want that to be happening. So after a great deal of discussion in finance, we felt that the best way to handle this is rather than to approve vouchers, is that we would do what most oversight committees do and just review the vouchers. That would still give us the opportunity to ask our questions, still be able to go back and look at them, but it would not be going through what would seem to be an approval process. Right now, vouchers over $10,000 they're primarily signed electronically, but they're the responsibility of the county clerk and the county treasurer working in tandem, and again, with the finance director. So the three of them together are working collaboratively, and we will continue to get to see them, but it's taking it from an approval process to a review process. I hope that made sense.
Thank you. Are there any questions? I see none. Therefore, we will vote on file number 114, the ordinance to amend section 4.06060A of the code. Right?
There's a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Supervisor Bates, you'll have to be faster.
I just have one question, that is, if there are items on that list that are not, that have not already been approved, then would they be put on a separate list? Because if you're just reviewing them, on those items, you're not approving them.
So if your question is, can we separate out those orders for payment that are not part of a contractual situation, there has been some changes already to vouchers over 10,000, and if we look back in our agenda, way back to like page 6 or 7, where it shows them, you'll see that they are already divided out. If you're looking for additional division, we can certainly handle that. Right now, it's divided up based on department. So if there's something more that you would like to see, you should just let us know, and we can discuss it. But keeping in mind that there is a descriptor that says contractual services. So you'll see that in the description. So if you want something more, you should just let us know.
Thank you. Supervisor Bates, okay. Okay, I'll try this one more time. We are now voting on file number 114, the ordinance to amend section 4.06060A of the code, issuance of orders by the clerk and treasurer for payment of county obligations.
As amended.
As amended, thank you.
Right, as amended.
That is approved, 26-0. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda would be under Section 9, first reading of ordinances, but we have no items there. Item 10, reports of standing committees, commissions, and boards under 2.04160, and second reading of ordinances from the Committee on Planning and Development, file number 113.
Granting a 2-month extension of the temporary moratorium on the expansion and creation of the large-scale livestock facilities.
Motion? A motion by Supervisor Leary, a second by Supervisor Lavelle. Speaking to the motion, Supervisor Gibson? Was that a yes, Supervisor Gibson? Oh, sorry. Well, we all know that you can speak loudly enough, but my apologies.
Okay, I got a red light now, Nick.
This is just not my night. Okay.
All right. As you all heard at the beginning, I think Rod and Greg did a very good presentation of what we've done, where we're at on the committee. And we spent a little bit more time in January on education with all the county code, state codes, and everything else, just to get everybody on the committee up to date. And then we got one snow day, which kind of put us behind a little bit. But when we looked at the process to go through for land conservation to get the final draft, to look at it for planning development, to approve that, and then to get it to county board, if you look at the timeline, it comes out to June, which is our 2-month extension, and why we're looking and asking for that extension. So I guess I would ask that everybody would be in favor of this.
Thank you. I see no questions. I assume supervisors, you're ready to vote on file number 113, resolution granting a 2-month extension of the temporary moratorium on the expansion and creation of the large-scale livestock facilities. Please vote now. Lydia? Thank you.
It's too confusing.
Supervisor Maury and Supervisor Bourboin, we're having a conference here.
Unanimous.
It is unanimous. It's a unanimous vote. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is from the Committee on Finance and Budget, file number 109.
Authorizing the sale of tax deed property to the City of Altoona for $212, directing Corporation Counsel to prepare the quitclaim deed and the county clerk to execute quitclaim deed.
Is there a motion? Supervisor Henning, second by Supervisor Dunning. Explanation, Supervisor Pagonis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This type of thing has come before this body before. When there's a parcel that has come under tax deed sale, if the municipality wishes to have it back, then we are obligated to return it to them, just to have the municipality cover taxes, interest, and penalty. So we break out even in the deal, and it's required by statute.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Thank you. Supervisors, please take your keypads in hand and vote on file number 109, resolution authorizing sale of tax deed property to the city of Altoona for $212. That is 26-0. It is unanimous. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda, also from Committee on Finance and Budget, is file number 117.
Approval of a gift, a grant, and/or donation to Eau Claire County.
This resolution has to do with amending the budget. So I will look for a motion and then a quick explanation. Motion, Supervisor Miller. Second, Supervisor Gatlin. Explanation, Supervisor Pagonis.
This is money, that grant funding that's coming to the county. We would be dumb to vote against it.
Thank you for your brief but enlightening explanation. I know we can rely on you for accuracy there. Thank you very much. Are there any questions regarding or comments regarding this motion? Again, a reminder to you supervisors, this has to do with the budget, so it requires a 2/3 vote. Please take your keypads in hand and vote on file 117, approval of gift grant and/or donation to Eau Claire. Thank you. The vote is 26-0. It is unanimous. File number 118.
Approval of a gift, grant, or donation to Eau Claire County.
Since this is so similar, I'm going to ask for the motion. Motion by Supervisor DeLuca, second by Supervisor Gatlin. Explanation by our very brief summarizer, Supervisor Pagonis.
As well, these are grants, money coming to the county, and I think frankly it's already, this one's for 2019, the prior one was for 2018, so the prior one was already received. These are grants that were just awarded. I encourage approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Is there any comment? Supervisors, please take your keypads in hand and vote on file 118, approval of gift grant and/or donation to Eau Claire, and a reminder that it requires 2/3 vote. It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Before I adjourn the meeting, I will ask if there are any announcements. Are there any announcements? Supervisor Leary. Oh,
I have a question regarding the legislative breakfast coming up April 1st. I hope we have a good turnout. I'm not sure I can attend, but I hope we do have a good turnout. Do you have any updates on that, Catherine?
Thank you for asking. Right now, we have 2 confirmed legislators that will be attending, and I do not have a number today on how many other local government officials we will have, but we have had fairly good response. So I can get that number to you, and we will continue to send out notices to encourage participation.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Supervisor DeLuca. As soon as I find your, there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to say congratulations to Beaver Creek. We served 700 people on March 9th at French Toast Breakfast, and we squeezed it in before the snowstorm. Thanks.
Congratulations. Any other announcements? Thank you. We have reached the end of our agenda. We are adjourned.
This program was brought to you by a cooperation between Newsworks and Eau Claire County. Newsworks is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, please contact us via phone at 715-839-5067 or online at valleymediaworks.org.